Vibe, cross-community podcast radio.
Buonasera Virginia.
Ciao Virginia.
Benvenida a Radio Vibe.
It's all very Spanish today. So it's Federica,
Luigi.
Rosa.
here today in conversation with our wonderful Virginia Mendez. Virginia Mendez.
Perfect.
Yes, something like that, isn't
Perfect,
it? I mean,
perfect.
yes.
Worked
Oh, it's
absolutely
perfect.
fine.
Okay. Virginia, the very first question, as usual.
Yeah, then we always ask is, what is your favorite Italian word?
I'm gonna say prego.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, that's.
I think it works for so many things
Yes,
too. So we
yeah.
like that having that extra tools.
Indeed, it does.
For so many situations. And actually, we have to say that Virginia is a fluent Italian speaker. So we could as well do this in Italian, but we won't because,
All right.
yeah.
No.
I would say I was a fluent Italian speaker. It's there somewhere. It's probably there somewhere, but let's not risk it.
So let's not test it now, isn't it? Okay. So
Maybe later with some
Later
drinks.
on.
no pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Okay.
Okay, first bit in English, second bit in Italian. Okay?
Yeah.
No pressure. Eh?
That's it.
Anyway, I think we're very curious, aren't we, Luigi, to know
Absolutely.
more about Virginia today, who is a gender equality champion, an expert speaker, and also an author, and also children's author, actually, with her book, Mica and Lolo. So, Virginia, just get started because we can't wait.
So I am Spanish and I've been living here in Belfast for 6 years. I met my husband in Paris back in the day 10 years ago, and it was all great, very international. He moved to Madrid with me shortly after. We bought a house, and the first time I came to Belfast, I told him I'm never going to live here. And he said, don't worry, I don't want to live here either. And I've been here now 6 years. I have a house, and he thinks that we're going to stay for a wee while. And I love it. So I have no complaints on that side. But another thing that has changed from that 10 years ago, old me, is that I was not a feminist back then. Chris was the cool one of the relationship, the one with all the forward-thinking ideas, and I was the conservative one. Hashtag shame of me.
Hard to believe, I have to say now. Well,
I know. Sometimes I feel like if I could go back and talk with myself and be like, wow, all the things that you get wrong. But I can't. But so anyway, I moved here, and it was a bit of a cultural shock, but also met amazing people, and eventually got pregnant. I have 2 kids, Eric and Nora. Eric is 4 and Nora is 2. And when I was pregnant with Eric, by then I was a feminist already. By then, not as much as now, but in fairness, I think I'm always a bit more. So probably if you ask me next month, I'll be like, last month I was not as feminist as now. So I did, whenever I found out I was pregnant and I didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl, I thought, okay, I want to write a book for this baby and about just challenging gender stereotypes and telling them that I don't care if they're a boy or a girl, that, you know, I don't want any limitations, and just to invite them to critically think and to challenge those impositions that we have as children. And sometimes they're very subtle, but they're there and they make an impact, especially for kids.
give us some examples, Virginia.
So, but funny enough, there's 2 characters in the book. So it's Mica and Lolo, and they think about what is happening to them. So, for example, the way we don't let boys cry, or the way girls don't get to be leaders because they're called bossy straight away, or things like at the end they have to buy a key ring, and Lolo wants a butterfly, but people dissuade him, like his granddad is like, get the lizard, as in, shame, butterflies are for girls. So it's those things that seem very small, but they add up and they keep, reflecting into a narrative that it's not okay about what gets to do what and why. So the truth is that kids don't really question those things. The kids just assume it's true because they hear it in their house and in the books and in the TV and everywhere. So at some point they stop asking why, it's just what it is, and they assume it as a reality. So the book is a bit of an utopia about kids asking, why can I do this and not this person? And a father, and it's on purpose a father because they're also never present in children's book as the figure in charge of education. It's always the mother and the woman teacher that does all those things. Just invite them to explore it and talk about those things, which I think is very important. So yeah, it just talks about being a leader and being shy, and funny enough, the best feedback, well, I got really good feedback in fairness from both sides, but the one that has touched me the most has been from boys that had felt very liberated, and it's great to see a character that is shy, and it's okay, and doesn't have to always be the alpha male on the group, because if you read children's book, there's always the white guy that is very, it's a very good kid. It's always that superhero, the sharing, the things. But there's never space for the boys that don't want to be the center of attention. That they just choose to just play with the others without making it about themselves, or that choose the odd color or the butterfly. So I got a lot of good and very touching feedback from boys and from parents of boys that felt really I liked the character. So the book is also bilingual, and it's originally written obviously in Spanish and English because it was thought for my kids, but it is now translated into Italian and English, French and English, and German and English.
Wow!
Yeah.
Where can you find it? Where can you buy it?
So all of those are in Amazon and obviously in the Feminist Shop, but micalolo.com is also, we're relaunching it, so it's going to be there too, and we're doing a lot of, we're doing some t-shirts and mugs and things for kids that says, ask me about my superpowers, because we want kids to be asked about, do you have a boyfriend? Who is your thing? I think the questions we ask the kids sometimes are very underwhelming, and it's always about how beautiful you look, and I think kids want to be asked about those imaginative things, and those having that space to show off and look me running very fast and look at me doing this. So we're trying to invite adults to engage with adults with kids in another way. So that's the whole goal of the book.
Do you think that literature for infants, for children, is influencing also their parents in a good way?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I have had this experience. I've learned a lot from the books that I read to my daughter, and they're about the most important women in history, and all these other things. Like there's an Italian book, it's called Storie della buonanotte per bambini ribelli, midnight stories
for rebel girls.
And that is brilliant.
It is a great book.
I've come to learn so much from that actually I'd buy that for myself if I knew.
I agree. Like there's so many books that are exploring now women in history for children, and I just love reading them. I didn't know that. Yeah. This is fascinating, and the truth is we didn't know that. Who has told us about all those women that have made huge changes in history? And I think the fact that both boys and girls get to read those books is very important. And I love the book, the one you're saying about the rebel girls, but I do have a slight problem with the title, because I don't think only girls should be reading books about women. But I think the title sort of suggests that only girls should be reading those books. And I think I give my son a lot of those books about women, because for me it's important that he has feminine role models, and that he understands that women can do amazing things. And the same way that we have grown with books and TV shows where the main characters have always been boys, and we've learned to relate with that character, but we get away, kids, from doing that. We think that boys can only relate with boys, and that is really narrowing for them. So that's the whole goal of having diversity in characters. And yes, but yeah, I agree. I think, and the book specifically talks to parents about let's do better. Let's just give the kids better chances and just invite them to be themselves, whoever they are, because that is actually the bigger superpowers that kids have and we take away from them. So yeah, let's make a Lolo.
Excellent.
And with that now, we're gonna take a little music break.
Yeah, of course, by our friend and Viber, Luigi Cirillo.
Thank you.
Sai, la gente è strana, prima si odia e poi si ama, cambia idea improvvisamente, prima la verità poi mentirà a noi senza serietà. Sai, la gente è matta, forse un po' troppo insoddisfatta, segue il mondo ciecamente, quando la moda cambia, lei pure cambia continuamente, scioccamente. Tu che sei diverso, almeno tu nell'universo, un punto sei che non ruota mai intorno a me, un sole che splende per me soltanto come un diamante in mezzo al cuore. Sai, la gente è sola, come può lei si consola, non far sì che la mia mente si perda in congetture o in paure inutilmente, e poi per niente tu che sei diverso, almeno tu nell'universo, un mondo sei che non ruota mai intorno a me, un sole che splende per me soltanto come un diamante in mezzo al cuore. Tu sei diverso, sempre sarai sincero e che mi amerai davvero
All right, so welcome back to Radio Vibe for more Virginia for all of us. Rosa, would you like to set the scene?
As always,
usual?
I do set the scene, and today, actually, we are outside, yes, but we are wearing something which our t-shirt read, would you say that to a man? It's one side, actually two sides. Me and Federica are wearing that. And then when I look at Virginia, I see a t-shirt with an F full of boobs. So, yeah.
It's interesting because actually you all can buy these beautiful t-shirts and so many other products at Virginia's shop, which is thefeministshop.com. So I would like Virginia now to talk us through really her feminist shop. And I can already say that there is some great curated contents, for example, Raising Feminists or Men and Feminism. Luigi?
Yes.
I mean, Women and Sex, Women and Policy. You have a wonderful blog, and we can read everything about purple glasses, gender quotas, eating disorder, autism and feminism, period poverty, and so many other things. So, thefeministshop.com, Virginia.
So, yeah, thefeministshop.com, it is my way, well, me and my husband, but mostly me. I do the content, so I'm going to take the credit to reinvent what a feminist shop should be. I mean, we think that there are shops, and there are great shops here and there that sell T-shirts with slogans, and we're all about it. But we think that as a feminist shop, we're trying to do much more, and we're trying to tackle and challenge the situation from many angles. So I write content every week, and I'm starting to do videos as well. But we also have recommendations, as you said, divided by topics. So people they want to know more about men in feminists, and they specifically want to have a recommendation of podcast, and we'll have a list of podcasts or people to follow, or films to watch, or documentaries. So we've tried to make it easy. We're just trying to tell the people, look, it's not difficult. We'll have it for you, digested. You just have to listen to it, because we believe that if people understood and if people know about it, they will get on board. We don't think that in general most people will choose a system that is unfair with 51% of the population. We don't believe so. We believe that a lot of the times it's lack of awareness, and it's whenever somebody has that conversation and challenge your point of view that you realize, oh wow. And then once you realize and you're aware, you cannot stop being aware. And then that makes you act because you genuinely care, because I must be an optimist, but I believe that people in general are good people and want to live a better world, and they want to create something good for the next generations and be part of the change. So what we're trying to do is that raise those conversations, and we do it through our products. So the t-shirts that you are wearing, would you say to a man, we think it's actually really good for that, because a lot of the times women are told things that would never have been told to a man. And sometimes it's not conscious. Sometimes it's just the way we are programmed and the way we just live our lives in this society. But having that second and that reminder of, hey, am I treating people differently just because of their gender? We think it's very powerful. So we call our products wearable activism, because they're about making a statement and starting conversations. So my full of diverse boobs, for example. It's about reclaiming boobs for ourselves. Like, it's about, they are all different and they're all fine and they're all perfect. And it's funny how boobs get to be sexualized, but whenever women reclaim boobs for something that is in their own interest, then that's wrong and it's prohibited, or it's it's lust, and it's about why we have the rules set about our own body from outside instead of ourselves. So we are aiming to donate 50% of all our profits to partners associations. So this collection, for example, is linked with Breastival, which encourage breastfeeding and normalizing breastfeeding through educating and celebrating and things like that. But we have different associations for different campaigns that we and we, because we are not profitable yet, because we're just starting, we've been trading for less than a year, what we do is in the meantime giving them 10% of the sales, because we want to make every purchase having an impact for the real causes. So what we're trying to do is being that place where you get information about feminists. So you want ethically produced items, and all our products are done in a renewable energy factory with vegan ink. They're Fair Wear certified, so there's no sweatshirt, there's no slavery or anything like that. And they're all print on demand and drop shipping. So we don't produce anything that we don't sell, because we don't believe in creating wastage just to sell it. We just want to sell you something if you're going to buy it. And we don't feel like the fashion industry is one of the most one of the worst for the environment. So we thought that if we're going to do something that it's good for a cause, it cannot be at the expense of the planet. So we're trying to make a complete ethical approach of our products, of our content, of our who do we share our money with, which kind of causes we're speaking about, and we're doing things like interviewing completely different people just so they know that feminist is all of us. So there's no one way to be feminist, there's no one uniform, there's no a right or wrong, and feminist is a journey. And I'm not the same feminist as I was 5 years ago, definitely not. Definitely not. But But I won't be the same one in 5 years either. And that's because of the conversations I'm having and the things I'm reading and the films I'm watching and those moments that I stop and I'm open to change and to explore more and to grow. And I think that's what we're trying to do in the Feminist Shop. Just run away from there's only one type of feminist, you're pro or against, and just be about having the conversations, making statements, raising awareness, and invite people to do something. And we might not agree in absolutely everything, but overall we're in the same boat, and it's not until we recognize each other as part of the same changing force that we won't be creating enough strength to change things. So we are trying to play into that community and making the F and the purple and all the things identifiable. So if you see somebody that is wearing something that you recognize, you'll know that behind it, they're sharing a lot of values. So even if you disagree with things, you'll understand that there's a lot of values shared and you're sort of part of the same team, if that makes some sort of sense.
Definitely.
So yeah, and the whole idea is that even if the money comes from the products, it's all, and that's mostly for me, about the content. So every week I explore completely different topics, a lot of times sparked by the interviews I'm doing, but a lot of times just by something that has happened, either to me or something that has happened in the media or in the world. And
It's the Friday's newsletter, Virginia, isn't it? Because I receive it every Friday.
So yeah, so every Friday I write a newsletter with the post that I've written, if I have any interviews, what is my feminist book recommendation of the week, and just trying to have just that moment of reading an email and stopping and thinking, I never thought about, for example, period poverty, or because we just live our life and we don't stop thinking about every single topic. So we like to just bring that feminist lens and that feminist angle to things that are happening every day, because all that is feminist, all those little things.
You're a lot into awareness and education. What do you think is the step between awareness and education in terms of feminism and law and applying new rules to make this actually happen? I don't know. I'm thinking about what has happened, for example, in the gay community and for gay rights. That awareness is not present everywhere, but there's law that now is giving more power to these people, and there is a sort of inverse process there where people by law can have children and have the right to get married, and the others that weren't educated are getting educated because they know their neighbors and they start feeling like, they're just like us, and they feel more close. While it feels a little bit conversation about feminism has stopped a little bit. I think about the 70s. I think about the big names of feminism, and I think with their political battle, they were really talking to everyone. So they really worked a lot into awareness, even if they didn't succeed those points. But now there aren't yet. We are not that far. There's not yet a lot of things that might help. I'm thinking about equal pay. I'm thinking about, for example, maternal leave and paternal leave and all the things that could be done in that sense. And maybe when I say we, I mean, people is investing a lot into awareness, but very little on politics.
So it's feminist political then?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
But the problem is that, well, I agree, but the law always follows the society. It's never the other way around. I mean, it's never been a change because, I mean, the people have fought for those rights, and the way you demand those rights is by being aware that you don't have them in the first place. Yeah. But if you don't understand the fact that and how maternity is being understood in this society, and how the lack of paternity leave in equal terms is stopping you and your career, and even for men, even the fact that men if the men stop and understand how equal paternity leave not only will benefit financially the family, but also put them in a main or co-responsible situation with their kids that also have other benefits in terms of blah, blah, blah. Until we don't have that awareness, we won't be demanding those changes, because it's very easy to follow into but it is what it is. And I think that's where the power relies. I think I'm all about the acting, and that's why we support the associations that are doing a lot of work in lobbying and grassroots things. And I also believe in even things like signing petitions and please the way you vote. But I think the only way we can do that is by caring, and we cannot care of something we don't know. And I think the perfect example is been Black Lives Movement. Things it's been a wake-up call for a lot of time, or for a lot of people, and it was there. It was there before. And I think people that are super active now and demanding big changes, people saying in the panels, no, I don't want to talk if there's not a black person, or what is your diversity? People asking whenever they're accepting a job, what is your diversity policy? Those people are only doing that, and those things will make change. They're only doing that because now they know. And it's the same with feminists. Yeah, I think it's the same with feminists. I know very little people that once you tell them, and then once they see what is really happening, and the things that, whenever you just have those real conversations, I know very few people that is like, oh, you're right, but I don't care. I think in general, people are like, oh, fuck, it's true. And once they do that, then they just start, even if they are not, not on purpose, but they just start saying, if you tell a person the impact of only having white male in panels, and how those manels, they're called, which I think is very funny, have an impact because of, the lack of representation and the lack of voice, blah, blah. I think once they see it, it's very difficult now for me to go to conferences and not be like, there you go, all men except that one woman, or, oh, everybody's white, what a white panel. But maybe I wasn't aware 20 years ago. So I think it's about that moment, those illumination points where you're like, wow. And that is what makes you act, and then makes you have a conversation with somebody else that will do the same. And I do believe a lot in the domino effect of, wow, I've learned this new thing and I want to share it. So everybody, get that same wow moment that I got. So, but 100%
awareness, communication, and education. Really,
education.
And I think it's important that we understand that we live in a time where we need to change our narrative. We really need to change it. And the only way to do that is by talking to people.
Yeah.
Now,
guys, I think we're, all of us are not just inspired by Virginia, but totally charmed by her. So we could do this for
forever.
Days, forever. But I think we need to, move towards the closing of this podcast.
And as always,
Rosa, you have your question.
I know. I always have this question before we leave our interviewee, and we always ask, as a radio podcast, as a community podcast, we would like to hear from you. What would you like to see coming next on Radio Vibe? Especially, I would say, because, Virginia, you write on your website, I think, one conversation at a time. This is how we change the world. So what kinds of conversations would you like to see or to listen to in Radio Vibe next?
I think the conversations now are about intersectionality. I think that's where the big conversations are, how that intersection of women, race, homosexuality, class, like all those people that are gaining the voice now. I mean, I think, to me, my biggest passion and the people that I'm more listening to at the moment are Black women, and what they have to say about what is happening in the world, and how, what is their moment and why they should be the ones leading forward. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much.
That's great. So a big hug to all our feminist friends and non-feminist, but potentially feminist.
Not feminist yet.
Everybody.
There's only feminists or not yet.
And all the customers of the feministshop.com. And a big thank you. Grazie a Virginia Mendez.
Prego.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao, Virginia.
Could even use it.